there's some Revelator songs that I'm like, man, we got to bring those back. But we've done so many songs and albums. There's like so much to choose from that I guess we don't think about it all the time.
We need to get you a really good slide player in Nashville, and you guys need to cover a Derek Trucks song.
You know, he told me Susan wrote the song, which he was proud of. He said that with great pride, you know, the way you say nice things about your family.
From the first note with Tedeschi Trucks, they just blow you away.
Yes, we will. I wouldn't argue with anyone that says that could be my favorite song on I Am the Moon.
He, signs my ticket, and I look over at Susan. I say, Susan, would you sign it too? And she goes, oh, heck yeah.
Kevin calls me and was like, hey, man, what are you doing? I was like, nothing. He was like, Derek wants to record some tuba stuff. I said, when do you want to do it? And he was like, let's do it Wednesday.
It was Midnight Harlem. And it caught our attention, man. And we started diving deep, and we're like, okay, we got to see these guys.
Hear me in the waiting room? You guys can hear me. That's good. Welcome to the unofficial Tedeschi Trucks podcast. This is episode number 172. I am Adam Choi. To follow the show, it's at Tedeschi Trucks Podcast on Instagram. Please subscribe on YouTube, Tedeschi Trucks Podcast. Pretty easy to find. Like the videos, share the videos, comment. All that stuff is definitely appreciated. Please subscribe on whatever platform you listen to podcasts on. I'll definitely be putting out an audio version of this episode. For sure, we're on Odyssey and iHeartRadio now as well, if you listen on there. Patreon.com/TTB podcast. If you want to support, that is definitely appreciated. A portion of your contributions at the second two tiers get donated to the Mr. Holland's Opus Foundation, supporting music education and getting instruments into the hands of kids. So it's definitely a good cause on multiple fronts, supporting me and the show, and also a good cause on top of that. And I'll give you a shout out if you support on as well. So thank you, Kathleen, Stacy, Troy, who I'm about to bring on the show as well, and Daniel, Mariah, and Marion. Today we're going to talk about Kofi Burbridge Day of Service. It was days of service. It was the entire weekend. It was not just one day. And happy birthday, Kofi. Today's his actual birthday, I was told. I think that's correct. And also TTB, of course, played Bourbon and Beer the other night, that festival in Louisville, which I'm going to recap tomorrow with some guests on that. But we're going a little out of order. So today we're going to recap TTB in Nashville at the Ascend Amphitheater. And we have Troy Olsen and David Flamm coming on to talk about that one. And we'll get into the Kofi stuff. I got some pictures. So let's bring on Troy and David. What's up, guys?
Hello.
Good evening. Can you hear us, Adam? We're not here. I'm not hearing you.
I can't hear you.
I can hear you, Troy.
Yeah, I can hear you also, but not Adam.
We'll just have to talk about it with Adam, Troy.
Yeah, I don't know who. I don't know if YouTube can hear us or him. No.
Testing.
Yeah. Oh, there we go.
Yeah, I'm sorry about that, everyone. Thank you for bearing with me. I'll edit out that for the audio version of the podcast. Anyway, thank you for joining me. Where are you and how are you, Troy?
Good. So I live in Memphis. I'm doing fantastic. I've been listening to your podcast for quite a while. And then I know like a few episodes, I don't know, maybe 10 episodes ago, you said something like you wanted to meet all of the kind of hardcore Tedeschi Trucks fans out there. And I think you said something like, so if you've seen 25 plus shows or you spend a significant amount of your time listening they'll reach out to me, and so I did. Last night's show was my 41st. I'm nowhere near David's tally, but that's pretty respectable. 41. And then I listen to the band all the time. I'm always listening to the shows on the archive. I think on Spotify last year I was in the top 0.1% of Tedeschi Trucks Band listeners when they do that year-end thing. So all my family and friends thought that was hilarious. But no, I'm a big fan. I've been from the beginning, even back from the Derek Trucks Band and Susan Tedeschi solo days.
Nice. And you're back home, David?
Back home, yep. Back in Atlanta. We drove up on Friday late afternoon to Nashville, and we came back this morning and had a great weekend. Troy and I were part of the Kofi Day of Service on Saturday morning in Nashville, and then saw the show last night. So it was a heck of a 1-2 yesterday.
How far is that drive from Atlanta to Nashville?
Usually there's some traffic through Chattanooga, so it's about 4 hours.
Damn, that's not around
4 hours.
Not around the corner.
No, it's not right around the corner. But as I've mentioned before, out of all my shows, Nashville has actually seen more TTB shows in Nashville than any other place. But it wasn't the Ryman this time.
Why not? Oh, because we were kind of talking about almost before we got that. That's just a bigger venue, and they made that choice to play somewhere bigger for one stop versus Ryman for three nights kind of thing or whatever.
Yeah, but a beautiful outdoor venue right on the river downtown Nashville. I didn't realize it's been there, I guess, since 2015. I didn't realize the venue had been there that long, and but yeah, it was a great outdoor venue. No cover whatsoever, though. It's all open air, and it was a pretty warm night last night, I thought, Troy.
Yeah, it was warm. I'm just glad it wasn't raining, obviously, since there was no cover. It was warm, a little muggy, but I enjoyed the show.
How far is Memphis from Nashville?
Yeah, so it's about 3 hours, about a 3-hour drive. And I, like David, I've seen them in Nashville numerous times. In fact, I've seen at least one show of every Ryman run since they started doing it, except the first post-COVID year. I went and saw him in the Warner Theater in DC. I go with my best friend from high school, Bill. Shout out to Bill. I think he's watching. So we go see them different places. We finally hit the Beacon for the first time this past winter. But I've seen them at the Ryman. I haven't tallied that up, but lots of times.
Should we talk about, because the Kofi in Nashville, that happened yesterday, right? So we could talk about that first if you want to go kind of chronologically and just tell me about how that went. I'll pull up your pictures of where they run. I see Ann posted some, David. There you go. I'll grab these. You got some good stuff. But yeah, tell me about yesterday.
It was and Troy maybe help me out. It was at the Second Harvest of Middle Tennessee. So they do a lot of providing food to the needy, and the gal that headed it up locally was Lauren Story. She headed up the group in Nashville, and it was actually her birthday yesterday, so she was giving out beads to us when we got there for service, and we all got the shirts that I guess they're giving out all over the country, and we had a very good crowd. Troy, I don't know, there was a lot of folks there that participated. I don't know, it might have been close to 20.
At least, like, yeah, I think at least 20, maybe even 25-ish. It was a big turnout.
Yeah, it was a great crowd. And again, as I said, Ann and I, we decided we wanted to do the service, and we couldn't really provide it in Atlanta and get to the show in Nashville. So we said, well, why don't we just sign up in Nashville and kind of kill two birds with one stone? So we just did everything. Yeah, that's a big crowd there that we had. And what was cool in talking with some of the people, some really big TTB fans, but last night was going to be their first live show with TTB. Talked to at least three of the group that was in there that hadn't actually seen them live. and we actually worked in the cold storage, Adam. We were it was 40 degrees. This is outside in the heated part of the warehouse, but we were actually in the cold food storage, and we were sorting frozen foods that were donated by different grocers and things like that, and we had to sort through them and box them up and everything and get them ready to be sent out to folks. And they said we did a lot of quick work. The guy was surprised how quickly we worked, and we sorted through a lot of food and got a lot of prep for a lot of people that need the food in the Nashville area. So it was really rewarding work with a great group of people. And Troy and I got to work kind of across the table. I was doing one job, he was doing another, and we got a chance to chat a pretty good bit, yesterday morning.
Yeah, so cool. Yeah, just thank you, Renee Pfeffer, for organizing this. Like, I can only imagine how much work she's like. As me as the LA organizer, I'm thinking about, I'm not worried or stressed or nervous, but I'm trying to be mindful of all my responsibilities and stuff. But imagining what she's dealing with times 16, times 20, whatever it is, like in every city, coordinating and organizing. But I think totally worth it, and for such a great cause. And when you get these quantities of people coming out, like, you get exponential amounts of work that done that much more. And it's just fun to be around. Like you're talking about, like these fans, new fans of TTB. And that just goes to show, like I always talk about, whether you've come into this band in 2010 or come into this band in 2018 or whatever, just discover them. The fact that new fans or fans who never even seen them live are willing to dedicate their time to volunteering for something for Kofi. They obviously never saw Kofi play either, if they've never seen or at least never saw Kofi with TTB. But like, it just goes to show how passionate are people about this music, showing up to volunteer for a band. Like, they're not even there. What is this on the weekend? And people are happy to do it.
Yeah. And like I said, Lauren, who headed it up for Nashville, it was her birthday, and her husband, they were out there, organized it, out there working and doing all that on her birthday. So it was, so commendable, and it really was rewarding work. So it's great.
I think we worked so fast because we were literally sorting frozen food for a couple hours. I know my hands were. They gave us gloves, but that didn't help that much. Touching frozen food for 2 hours straight. So I think we were in a hurry to get that stuff sorted.
Yep. So some of them were not in the cold part, the ones making boxes and stuff. But here we are. I mean, this was 40 degrees in there, and I think that was John who was working beside me. He's one of the guys that was a big fan, and last night was going to be his first show. And I think he ended up. I saw him before the show. He did the backstage thing with Bobby, did the tour and everything. And he, on his first TTB show, he got the whole tour and everything. So I still haven't done that. So that must have been pretty cool.
I feel like we've had, maybe not the tour, but we've gotten the Bobby experience in one form or another, just having conversations over the years, and lucky enough to be a fly on the wall for some that he's had with others too, for sure.
Yeah.
Good stuff. And is this your first time doing the Kofi Day of Service, Troy?
Yeah, I've wanted to do it before. Nashville's kind of the closest city to me that does it, and I know Gabe has been there in the past because he lives in Nashville. So this was and my wife was there in that other picture. She was the one in the white shirt, so she was a good. She likes the band, but not nearly as much as I do. But I've dragged her to probably half the shows I've seen, and she's a good sport. But she enjoyed the service, meeting all those people. But yeah, it was my first time doing that day of service.
Yeah, no, good stuff. I mean, might as well continue talking about this. I can share some of the other stuff. Someone posted this one here. I'm not even sure what cities they're in, but that's Renee right there. Probably in the Northeast somewhere. That's set list, but here's another one here. Just people all over the country and all kinds of doing great work and
They
food
have a lot of new
services.
cities this year too, right? Adamant expanded to some new cities, I think, this year for the first time.
Yeah, no, where's that? I have that here. We have
Again,
New
Derek
cities
and
at
Susan on the
Albuquerque,
act.
Atlanta, Austin, Boston, Buffalo, Charlottesville, Chicago, DC, Denver, Jacksonville, Jamestown, LA, Long Island, Nashville, New York City, Philly, Portland, San Francisco, Westchester. I think Albuquerque and Long Island and San Francisco are new this year.
I guess Derek and Susan did. Was that today? I think.
Yeah, that must have been today. And I think what I say, Raleigh or somewhere in between Nashville and the Beacon, I gather, is where they did their own thing. What's with this Braves hat? Let's go Mets. How about that? Got some big games coming up this week. I could go on a whole tangent about that. That'll be exciting, actually.
The Trucks family is Braves fans,
Right.
Braves fans. So they're smart people, but this year we got a lot of injuries, so we might let the Mets, get in there this year and
We'll see. It's not a long way to go. Susan converted to pretty much all Derek's team.
Yeah, exactly.
It seems like Braves, Jaguars, obviously they're all. Were the Jaguars? I think they might be playing right now. I don't think they're home or Derek and Susan at the game. See, this is relevant to the podcast. This is not like a tangent about sports. This is like this is important Derek and Susan, content that we need to know about.
We need to get out in the universe, right?
Yeah. I'm an NL East guy too. I actually lived in DC for about 17 years, so I'm a big Nationals fan. They're terrible now, but they had a great run a few years back. So I'm all about the NL East talk.
They could. The band doesn't have it. They don't have a show tomorrow. They're off tomorrow, right? The band, I think, and the Jags play in Buffalo. If you can get a quick flight or a chopper up there and come back down, could they get to Buffalo and back in one night if they wanted to go to the Jags game? They can make it a private jet,
I'm sure they can. I'm sure
they might.
That happen. Yeah.
But I think they also, we know New York City. There's a lot of late night gigs and things going on, and I think Brandon and Alicia and some of the others are playing some gigs in New York City during the Beacon. Are you going to any of the Beacon shows, David or Troy?
No, we are missing the Beacon. It's schedules are a little bit different than they have been in the past, I guess, and they're doing the Beacon 2 nights during the week. And Ann and I still hold down full-time jobs, so we're more weekend travelers than we are during the week. So we are very sad to miss the Beacon, and then they're doing I guess that a new venue for them in Brooklyn as well, right? So I think they've got like 4 nights there in
King's Theater. Yeah, I don't know that one.
Yeah,
off the top of my head at least.
But yeah, I'm not doing. I went to the Beacon when they were there in February. I guess it was late February, early March, when they kind of kicking off the Deuces Wild Tour. That's the first time I'd ever seen them at the Beacon, so I'm not going again this week.
Yeah. That's why I do this, because I can't get to all of them. I'd love to, but I'm gonna try to recap them all. Of course, we can get into the show. I suppose I got the picture of the venue here. Is this the right place? Is this what it looks like?
That is it.
Sweet.
That is it.
Yeah, it was a nice venue. Even though I've been to several shows at the Ryman, and a few at the Bridgestone. That's their big the hockey arena. I've been to a few shows there, but I've never been to a show here.
Yeah, my first time as well. I mean, it's right downtown, between the hotels and the river there. So very convenient. You got to find a place to park, though. Parking's a little bit of interesting challenge. And as you see, the lawn is pretty darn big. So there was, I guess there was a lot of folks there last night. It seemed like it was a very friendly crowd. I thought the security was very friendly. People were friendly. If you were standing or not standing, or you wanted to kind of go up towards the front, take a picture or something. I saw some people that were trying to take a selfie, and some young gal came up and grabbed the phone, and she took the picture of them for them, and then they went back to their seats. So people were, trying to take pictures with Derek and Susan behind them, and just all kinds of stuff. And it just seemed very, very friendly at the venue.
It sounds like it's a combination of like some kind of like just the fans just happens having a good crowd and some Southern hospitality maybe combined with like a well-ran venue where like, you know, the staff must be like, it all stems from above, whether it's like whoever's running the venue, and obviously Derek and Susan set the tone a lot, but the venue, as you know, sets a lot of the rules and the tone and like, you know, how friendly is security? Like if there's, are they smiling at you walk in, or are they looking at you like you're a suspect for something?
Yeah, exactly. It was funny is after the show, Adam, we were kind of standing up front for a minute, and one of the security guys came over and he goes, "Thanks for going back to your seat after you took a picture or two." He goes, "I like to take pictures sometimes when I go to a show, and I don't like to get yelled at if I'm just kind of moving in and out pretty quickly." It was pretty funny that he was kind of sharing that, and you know, so he was very again amenable to people doing something very quickly or briefly that wasn't you know, too disruptive to what was going on.
Has anyone ever written like a real, I guess it would kind of be tongue in cheek potentially, but has anyone ever written like a sort of a how to or a book on like concert etiquette as a fan? Like here's the official, I mean, maybe there isn't enough content for 200 pages of something like that, or maybe there is for some TTB fans, and maybe us, we could write 200 pages worth of content just about this topic. Chapters 3 through 5 is the standing versus sitting to debate.
Yeah. I think that's a great idea. You know, yeah, concert. I did. It was funny. You say that. I was reading, you know, scrolling through Facebook, and somebody had posted what a great time they had, and it was kind of like. And by the way, for the two ladies behind me that were talking about, you know, cooking and pizza and pasta and this, that, and the other, you know, maybe next time take that conversation somewhere else. You know, it's, you know, that's the thing that gets me a lot is the. You know, the folks that are talking and just kind of oblivious to the incredible you know, musicianship that's going on, and you're kind of like, you know, who forced you to come to this show for you to socialize, right?
I shush people, and it's kind of somewhat effective if you start shushing, because then other people start shushing, and then you could. It's a way to tell people to shut up anonymously in large numbers. So I recommend try the shushing. It doesn't always work, but it can work. Or
Yeah,
or just
I'm not
ask
sure
people.
where she was sitting or what. You know, I don't know.
Yeah.
Around us, we were on the kind of the fourth row towards the right side a little bit, and like I said, I mean, I didn't hear. You know, there wasn't really any talking going on. I mean, it was a great vibe. It was we actually ended up knowing several people that were sitting on our row. There's a gentleman, and his name escapes me right now, but Ann and I would see him at the Ryman every year, and he comes walking in, and he ends up sitting on our same row, and I laughed to him and I said, "Hey, sir, this isn't the Ryman," and we had a good chuckle over that. And but he was sitting right there. He had fourth row center, and he was sitting, as it turned out, right next to some friends of ours, Keith and Kathy from Atlanta. They were on the fourth row, dead center. Two groups of folks that we knew. Another buddy who actually I did the Kofi service with last year in Atlanta. He and his wife were kind of front row, dead center. So it's nice to just see some familiar faces.
Do you feel like you know all the fans at this point? Do you almost feel like you know everybody who's been to a significant amount of shows? Is it a new experience for you, David, when you meet a new, or even Troy, because you've been to a lot of shows too? Is it a new experience when you meet somebody who tells you that they've been to 40 shows or been following the band for 15 years or whatever, Derek and Susan, a long time? Or have you kind of, like I always think about, have you met all the hardcore fans you feel like?
Yeah, I don't think we have. Well, I mean, Troy and I didn't meet until the day of service there, and he's been to 40 something, and you know, we've been to, you know, probably he's been, you know, we were at the Beacon, I guess the same time back in the year, and he's been to the Ryman a number of times like I have. So no, you haven't really met everybody out there. It was funny after the show. A young couple came up to Ann and I and said something like, "Hey, I think I've seen you at a bunch of shows," and you know, we just started chatting, and you know, he says, I think they were from New York, and they were down for the show, but they were going to the Beacon. I said, "No, we're working during the week, you know, this week, so we won't be there." But it was just kind of funny. You just never know who you bump into, and we should say hey to people more often, and just kind of see where. But we were chatting with the people around us last night because we went in early. We had the Let It Ride thing, which is, I wouldn't say it's a great bargain or anything, but we went in early, so we were in there early, and we just chatting to some of the folks that were in there early around us and stuff. So it's always fun to just kind of talk to your neighbors and feel it out. There was a young couple in front of us on the third row, and I told her before the show, I said, Stan, I don't want you to think, Stan, do whatever you do, dance, whatever, you won't hear anything from me. She probably didn't realize I was going to be standing the whole time either at 65. But so, we just got along so well with everybody around us. It was, I loved it last night. Again, the vibe of the people can really make or break a show.
Yeah, it's a cool thing that, like, with this fandom, as you go to more shows and become more engaged in the Swamp family community and all that, you keep running into familiar faces, but you keep meeting new people who are super passionate. Like I'm saying, whether they're newer fans or they've been to a lot of shows and maybe just aren't on social media or whatever the case may be. Like, you keep meeting hardcore fans too, for sure. Should we look at the set list there?
Oh man,
you got 2 sets, huh?
Yeah, that was somebody was sitting behind us and said, who's the opening band? I said, it's just 2 sets of the good stuff tonight, So
did they know that TTB often does just 2 sets where they have a big fan?
I don't know. It's funny. As a matter of fact, the gentleman was from Kentucky, but he had not been to the the Bourbon and Beyond or whatever. I know you're going to be recapping that. Hopefully you get Jeff Fink on for that, Adam. As a matter of fact, he's, one of the hardcores. And
I saw a picture with him and you guys.
Yeah, we got to connect, and he was raving about that. And he actually attended the show in the barn the night before. So he was at that one that, boy, am I jealous of that.
Right. I think I got some people coming on for that one. He knows he's always welcome. I don't want to pressure him. He doesn't always want to come on every single.
But I don't know how that works.
He doesn't like to impose, but he's always welcome, of course.
Yeah. But Susan wasn't there. So that was, that was kind of unusual playing, TTB songs and Susan not being there. I don't know what the dynamics were for. I think she was at a award show or something. Maybe.
Right, she did a country thing. I saw people posting about.
She set in. So my morning jacket was playing at that Ascend Amphitheater the couple nights before, and Susan and Margot Price set in the first. They played 2 nights, and I wasn't there, but I saw it on Instagram. So she was set in with Margot Price the first night. So she was in Nashville. Then I guess she went back up to Louisville for the Friday night show, and then back to Nashville.
Wow, I can't even cut it. I can't even keep up with all the mileage that they accumulate.
And I did see on stage. It was funny. Jeff pointed out at the set break that Derek had a bottle of his bourbon sitting up on his amp or something, and he said, David, man, you ought to see if you can get a hold of that from somebody or whatever. I said, that's hilarious.
Empty or not, collect as a collectible.
Yeah.
Empty.
And, but I think as they exited the stage after the Show Me Encore, I think Derek did the appropriate thing and put that in his back pocket and walked off with it.
He's doing promotion, but he's not having to go very far out of his way to incorporate that into his lifestyle and their performance and his evening
so
working.
He can walk off with it in his ass pocket after the show, I guess.
Yeah, I'm not. It's not just having a post-show drink and indulging. I'm doing work. I'm doing I'm marketing and promotions right now.
That's right.
Someone's got to market. We got to have somebody market this stuff. No, I got a scoop. Did you didn't have any or get any?
No, I didn't. And I heard it. So the first version, I guess, sold out. So maybe a second version is coming.
This is what this is all topics for tomorrow's podcast.
Yeah.
I'm sure we'll dive into all the bourbon talk and more of that. But yeah, let's get into this one here. I'll read it for the audio listeners here. Set 1, learn how to love. Ain't that something? Here, my dear, fallen part of me. Little by little, do I look worried? Keep on growing. And then set 2, midnight in Harlem. Made up mind. Come and go blues. Keep on smiling. Just won't burn. Soul, sweet song. It ain't fair. Into dreams. I want more. Into Bex Bolero. And an encore of I Can't Make You Love Me and Show Me. Is this what they played?
Verbatim.
That's it.
Nice. Yeah, I'll give you guys the floor, and I'll just kind of chill here and hit my vape pen. You guys tell me about what I missed, and I'll feel like I was there.
Well, I was fooled a little. I saw, and I don't know. I guess Derek's got a newer guitar tech with Bobby kind of doing the sound and everything, and I saw him kind of messing with the ES335, and I thought, oh well, maybe we're going to get a Passaquan tonight or something. And Derek walked out with it, and they opened up with "Learn How to Love," and boy, it was that was a fiery start to a
blistering, blistering opening, I'm sure.
Yeah. I think I mean it was just. Is there such thing as a bad Tedeschi Truck show? There's not. It's like some are through the stratosphere, some are just really good. This was a great one. Part of me always gets the crowd going. I was over on the left, David, and back further than you were, and so I had a lot of. I don't care if people sit or stand or whatever. I'm kind of old, so I sit a lot. But when they played "Part of Me," everybody was up, and that always gets people going. So kind of from there on, it was like a rocket. The Keep on Growing with, I guess his name was Andrew Beck from I think, is it Green Sky Bluegrass? Is that or great? Yeah. And he played Dobro. That was really cool. And I'm not really familiar with their music. I've heard of them, but that's kind of about it. And that was really cool to have him sit in on the Dobro or whatever that might have been just a resonator guitar that he was playing like a lap steel. But that was a highlight. That's probably my favorite TTB song anyway.
Anders back. Yeah. Green Sky Bluegrass is Anders back. Yeah. And he's played a couple of times, and I think that's at least the second or third time Keep on Growing with Anders Beck, or am I mistaken?
I have not seen him play with them, but that doesn't mean it.
I think, I
like Troy, I'm not really familiar. I've heard of the band and everything. I'm not real familiar with them. But seemed like Derek was enjoying kind of the back and forth with him. Seemed like it was a good time, and I'm with Troy. That's one of my favorite covers that they do. Keep on Growing. So
he did it with.
I hear that riff.
Yeah, I was gonna say he did it with them at SPAC at Saratoga Springs with Keep on Growing also.
Yeah. Well, I'm in the. It's funny on the opening. You have me talking about Yes We Will, but I will tell you, I'm in the camp right now where Fall In is. That's my favorite right now off of I Am the Moon. I dig the heck out of that. I mean that tune gets me going. It's real. And then, like Troy said, Part of Me usually gets everybody up. And then I thought Susan was pretty ferocious on Little by Little. That was killer. And then Do I Look Worried? That's always one of my favorite Derek solos. And then he said we got Keep on Growing. I mean that first set, sometimes it's kind of a little bit of a warm up, but it was pretty hot that first set. I gotta admit, I had a pretty big grin on my face after the first hour.
Yeah, and they featured Gabe a lot last night too, because I'm assuming he's hometown boy, so he got the lead vocals on "Ain't That Something," and then in the second set we'll get to, I guess, in a minute, but he got "Come and Go Blues" and then "Dreams." So there was a lot of heavy dose of Gabe last night, which I'm all about. I love Gabe.
And even the encore with him just playing the keys with Susan is kind of a highlight moment for Gabe as well. Yeah, the fall in, I'm sure it was this way. Even with, this version, like I get the vibe and the feeling that Derek never really wants the song to end. He like if it could keep going, it's just so easy to have it build down and back up and never really take the off ramp. I feel like he would just keep on going, and we would just keep on going with him as long as he keeps playing that song, Fall In.
Yeah, it's just such a funky, great groove. And then I really like, like you said, the outro with Gabe on the keys at the outro there. It's just, I don't know. It's
magical.
It's just so high on my list right now. I mean, it's just, I'm digging the heck out of that song. They kind of rotate around whatever you're feeling. But right now I've been feeling that a lot. And been a while since Ann and I had a live dose of TTB. So we certainly we needed that infusion for sure.
Oh yeah, those keys at the end, those little funny sounds, those little funky fun sounds, they're like spiritual, they're psychedelic, they're fun. It's kind of like it's just magical was the word I use. It's kind of like even like dreamlike a little bit, just like
kind of
like chimey even.
I like that. Dreamlike. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ending in the dream.
There's a few songs that I mentioned my buddy Bill a minute ago that we call it Derek's Not Messing Around and Fall In. The last outro or his last solo. I mean, I've seen it live several times, and it seems like every time it's 30 seconds longer than it was the last time I saw it. And I dig it. Do I record another one where we're like, oh, Derek does not mess around on this song. So those are some real highlights.
And he always does something new, I feel like, in all of these solos. Like, I hope that there's some audio or video or stuff that comes out. And I'll have to dig into to see what people have already put out. And some people have sent me to relook at that stuff. But, I can only imagine that, how awesome all the solos are. And he just always takes them to different places and unexpected places that almost catch me off guard the first time I hear it. And then the second time you listen to it, it's like, oh, that's the right way to play it. That's how it should always be. That makes sense. But usually, even when you first listen, it's like every version sounds like the best version, the current version. But he's always finding ways to make some new sounds. It seems like out of that guitar.
Yeah, just again, as Troy said, is there ever a bad TTB show? It's just what superlatives are you going to put on the one that you're at? And again, it'd been a while for us. And also in the Southeast, they have, rightly so, they've been giving other parts of the country their fair share. We haven't had much in the Southeast in a while. So it was
been a minute. What about the Midnight in Harlem to start the second set? I mean, I would guess that they've put it in that spot before, maybe even this year. I'm not totally sure, but it's uncommon. I feel like it's not a common place for that song to go. Did they do a long intro, or did they go right into this?
It was a very short intro, as a matter of fact. It was interesting because I was like, wow, midnight, to start the second set. Yeah, it's kind of I know they have done it a few times to open the evening,
right?
And I was surprised. It was a short intro.
Did they need to wrangle people back to their seats and be like, hey, we need to get people back to their seats. Go, hurry up, play midnight. No, I mean, it's typed out. It's decided in advance that they're gonna play it. But I always think of if they're starting a set or a show with midnight, I'm always like, there's a certain urgency to that. It's weird because it's not like an upbeat, let's march to our song, but it's like, oh my God, they're playing midnight. I got to get to, It ups the urgency of the whole set, I think, even though it's a ballad, if that makes sense.
Yes, I agree. And then after that, you're one, okay, what are they going to do to kind of, it probably got, the biggest applause of the night, but, what are they going to do upbeat after that? After midnight, something's coming to kind of
right.
Gets going. Like part of me comes in after Fall In and everybody's up kind of dancing and all, and wondering what was coming, and Made Up Mind, and certainly gets everybody going again. So it was it's just the second set there, it's and that's pretty packed full there.
It's almost like that because Midnight, and this is such nerd inside baseball TTB set list talk, but this is the place for it. Like it's almost like Midnight and made Up Mind were at the end of the set, or even before the encore, or even part of the encore at times. They're just like, okay, you made it to the end of the set. Now boom, you go back up to the top of the set. Because they rearrange things and try new things. But like in that rearranging, eventually things kind of move towards the later in the set, later in the evening, and then. In this case, they're like, oh, we got to change it up. Where should we put it at? Midnight? Beginning of the set. Made Up Mind, beginning of the set. Even Made Up Mind, you haven't seen too much at the beginnings of sets. It's usually middle or towards the end of the set, often following Midnight or a ballad, but not to start a show. I don't.
Yeah, maybe
they can pick them out of a
when
hat.
it first came out, it might have been, something that they'd opened with or something early on. But yeah, it's usually towards the the before the encore. But towards the end of of the set for sure. And as Troy said, I mean, Come and Go Blues, featuring Gabe on the vocals and all was beautiful. But I mean, for me, I gotta what I felt. To me, Keep on Smiling was the one that got me. I mean, that they brought out Jimmy Hall, who obviously wrote the song. And came out. I mean, I could be wrong, but I don't believe he's played that with them. I don't think that's ever happened.
I don't recall.
I could be wrong, but it was. And the best thing about it to me was the smiles on Derek and Susan's face when they were playing it, and watching Jimmy Hall sing it, and play harmonica on it, and it was. I was there the first time they played it, which was in Jacksonville. I guess, is that a year ago or something when they first, and it was, I'd never seen them so, the smiling and just enjoying it. And Susan let, Jimmy have all the vocals, he took it all. And Derek had a great solo. And like I said, the smiles on Derek and Susan's face when Jimmy, I mean, he didn't want to leave the stage. I mean, the song went on, I think, for 7 minutes. I mean, he had the whole crowd singing and chanting back with him. And I mean, that was, for me, a special moment.
I see it. Mike Wallace is the YouTube channel person name. They posted a bunch of videos from the show. And Garrett also, oh, no, that's from Bourbon to Beyond. I'm talking to him tomorrow night. But yeah, there's some new TTV content on YouTube. I don't know how the quality of the audio or video, but I'll check it out. It has a handful of views.
I've got some video of Keep on Smiling, Adam. Yep.
Nice.
That was I think probably highlight of the show. My wife, even again, who is she likes him, just not as huge of a fan as I am, but she, after the show, said that was my favorite part of the whole show. And she didn't know Wet Willie. She didn't know any of this stuff, but she's like, that guy. I mean, that guy was just my wife often describes the shows as joyful. That's one of the of their shows, period. It's just a joyful experience. And it's like that guy was just having so much fun and just so full of joy up there. And yeah, that was a highlight. I've never seen him live with them or anyone else. I thought that was way cool. And he did a great job playing the harp too. That was great.
Yeah, he's pretty special. He's been singing that song, Troy, since 1973. So
is that their biggest hit?
Oh yeah, that's definitely Wet Willie's biggest hit. And again, I think they were the first band that Capricorn signed after the Allman Brothers.
Right.
So he's got a big tie-in with the Allman Brothers and stuff like that. I'm sure he's been on stage with Derek, down through the years and everything. I think Jimmy Hall sat in sometimes in Greg's stead when he was feeling ill, some in the later dates, and he would come in and sing with them and everything. But as far as coming out with TTB, I do think that was a first. And yeah, Jimmy came out to the front of the stage, and he's telling the band to, bring it down. And he had the crowd just going with it. It was a thing of beauty. And like I said, watching Derek and Susan just kind of smile and laugh and just let Jimmy do his thing. It was and what a supporting cast for him to have. What a backing band for Jimmy for that one song. They were like, the 12-piece backing band. It was like I say, it was special, and I'm glad Troy. That's nice to hear. His wife, who's not the biggest fan, she thought that was a great moment. That's so cool. That is
I forget that sometimes. I do talk about how we love TTB sets. An evening with 2 sets and all 12 and no guests. That's all amazing. But it is super fun for the band to have guests join them. And as hardcore fans like the 3 of us are, who are listening to the band all day long, going to as many shows as we can. Like Jimmy Hall might not be listening to TTB all day long. He might not be watching every video on YouTube of them. So even though he's a pro musician and played with Derek and Susan and all that stuff, maybe he doesn't not forget. That's not the right word, but he can be more jarred by how awesome this band is and how amazing it is to play with them. Because what made me think of in these terms is you, David, saying how imagine TTB as your backing band. That's the best backing band there is. And if you don't listen to them every day like we do, if you start singing and that's who's backing you, you must be like, holy shit. It's the reason why Trey Anastasio and all these guitar players, when they see Derek, they're almost surprised because they don't listen to him maybe as much as we do and watching every show and YouTube video. So they can almost forget sometimes or have to be reminded. I mean, we expect Derek to be awesome and the band to be awesome, and it still is surprising to us, or still everything's always new. But we're not totally shocked in a way where, as I think even some professionals might be who aren't around or listening to the band all the time.
Yeah. And I think also is that I don't think, I'm sure they did some rehearsal or whatever, I don't know, maybe it was just, the day of or whatever, but I don't think, my guess is Derek and Susan didn't think it was going to go 7 minutes long, and it just kind of morphed into this, and they just kind of let him just go with it. And it just, like I said, it just turned into a special moment.
Is that why Pasaquan got scratched? No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah. Yeah.
No, I don't know.
Yeah. Jimmy just kept going, and they had to strike a few songs. No, it didn't go to that. But, and then obviously right after that, Susan just, lights it up with Just Won't Burn. I mean, she's just always spectacular on that. Oh my gosh.
Well, you needed to go back to a Tedeschi lead vocal immediately after the Jimmy Hall trying to get in his spotlight. You had to be reminded. It makes sense. You get almost reminded throughout the set of who everyone is individually. Oh yeah, that's how awesome Elizabeth is. Oh yeah, Susan can do that on guitar. Oh yeah, Derek doesn't always need to play slot. You get reminded by how talented each of these people are individually throughout the show.
Yeah.
Without anyone really overstepping their bounds or overdoing it, in my opinion. Everyone always kind of leaves the show sometimes. Well, some people do I wish we heard a little more or a little less of that, or not less, but more of this or more of that. But I think Derek and the band do a pretty good job of achieving balance. This is such a well-balanced set list and just stellar and powerful and blistering, even though I would say there's nothing super duper surprising or new on it. But that doesn't mean it's not amazing or you're not going to leave this show on cloud 9. And especially, Learn How to Love, they've played it only a handful of times this year. So that's kind of a little bit, even Keep On Smiling got more play last year, I feel like, than 2024. So to get those 2 songs, and Little by Little is you're getting that once every 5 or 6 shows or something like that. You're not getting that every other night. So
yeah, there wasn't a lot on here that you would say, wow, I can't believe you got that, right?
Right.
But Learn How to Love to start certainly sets a great tempo. And then, like I say, adding Jimmy Hall to Keep On Smiling was really a treat. And as I'm looking through this now, it looks like, Mike just really had the lead on Fall In. That's a little unusual for him only to have, one real lead vocal. Obviously, he helps out on, on Keep On Growing. He helps out on that.
Right. That's true. Yeah.
But yeah,
we noticed that too, David. Yeah. And I was we were talking about it walking back to the hotel, and my theory was, well, this is Gabe's hometown, so maybe they gave Gabe extra vocal.
I was just gonna ask that. Yeah, sorry.
Yeah.
I was just gonna ask that, and I was also gonna ask if you could tell. I mean, it's not like necessarily like, maybe an athlete coming home to a sports thing and they have like a whole gigantic section of whatever about it. But like, could you feel the vibe that it was a hometown show for Gabe? Did he seem to have an ordinate, a lot of supporters around or extra cheers or something like that?
I think he did. I didn't really notice so much extra cheers. I know he's got a good following there. Actually, my wife and I went and saw him do a solo. He does a solo, like a holiday Christmas show. He's done it the last 2 or 3 years. In a couple of years, we went to see that. And
where was that again?
It's at a venue called the City Winery. I think they have one in New York. I think there's several of them, but it's a small.
I've listened to a handful of those Christmas shows on the archive.
Yeah, they're really good. And I don't know if it was sold out, but it was packed, and they were all, and it's one of those venues where you eat dinner. So you're at a table with a bunch of people and they serve you dinner during the show.
He is such a great, like seeing Gabe, or even just listening to some of his shows on the archive. He's an MC, a storyteller, a host for the evening. It's a totally different vibe than seeing Gabe with TTB. Of course, we're not talking, and even seeing like some of the Gabe Dixon band I saw opening for TTB. He talks more and he's an MC, but even listening to some of these seeing him in an intimate show, he's very personable. It's not that much different than like the conversation that me and him had on like the podcast, attending like, I feel like, or listening to those like very intimate winery type show. I would highly recommend anyone see Gabe in an intimate venue if you had the chance.
Yeah, it was really cool. And then I got to buy a shirt from his son, Liam. His family was out doing the merch after his wife and his son. And David, I don't know if you remember, but a few years ago, his son actually sat in on the drums at the Ryman for his full-on Savior. Yes. Yeah, Liam. And I bought a Gabe Dixon shirt from Liam. Like, all right. Then he came out on the drums the next year. Like, I bought a shirt from that kid.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. Yeah, I think I think Gabe felt, he felt, I'm sure, the hometown love and everything. And
yeah,
they gave him, like you said, gave him some feature there. And then they did Soul Sweet Song, a nice tribute to Kofi on, again, I guess the day before his birthday. So that was
right.
That was certainly well placed. And then, they just spread the love. Then Alicia has her stellar, moment with It Ain't Fair. I mean, that's
show stopping.
That's always a, get some of the loudest applause of the evening. I mean, she just, like Susan is to Just Won't Burn, kind of, Alicia is to It Ain't Fair. I mean, they're both just, I don't know. Seemed like she was born to sing that song. It's just amazing. And then you're always wondering, hey, are they going to go into Dreams? I think probably 9 out of 10 times they played It Ain't Fair, Dreams comes behind it, and it's just obviously stellar. And I really took a hard listen to Brandon on Dreams last night. I really, because I always, when I always think of the Allman Brothers, I think of Barry Oakley, and his bass lines are just so critical to their sound. And so I really just kind of honed in on Brandon on that. Kind of hard when Derek's just, killing it. But I thought Brandon was just exceptional last night on Dreams. Exceptional.
Yeah,
he's awesome.
I want to go back to It Ain't Fair for a minute. I've been fortunate enough to see that live now four times, and it is. And I think I've got some family and friends that are tuning in or listening that aren't as familiar with the band, and that is, if you ever get a chance to go see them live, that is worth the price of admission right there. And if you don't know, that's a cut. I mean, all the hardcore people, I'm not telling you anything you don't know, but that's a cover of an Aretha Franklin song from this album called This Girl's in Love with You, I think. That's also got the weight. Dwayne Allman played a lot of the songs on that, recorded in Muscle Shoals, Alabama, not too far from where I am here. But And so Derek kind of takes the Dwayne slide stuff, and Alicia just knocks that thing out of the park. And then you've got Kebby playing sax, and that all just melds at the end. It is just like goosebumps for me every time. That is just amazing. That It Ain't Fair. And I hope that the fan club puts out like an album. You know, they put out their albums every year, and that makes it on one of the official releases, because that thing is just spectacular.
Yeah, no, that's an interesting point, because I know that like I listen to a lot of the archive recordings, and they are amazing. But then like I know that they put out like one of those like European tours and like remastered and all that. And then I heard like Passaquan, a full length live Passaquan version on that, all put together versus the fan recording. I'm like, oh my God, this is in a whole nother universe too. So to hear like an It Ain't Fair into Dreams that's getting the full studio or whatever, the remastered and put together live, version would be quite amazing for sure. Show-stopping moment, certainly.
Yeah, share that with the fan. Yeah, like I think they had the Beacon bits or something they had live, from the Beacon. They put together some stuff, and you said like Europe. So yeah, if that could see the light of day, that'd be pretty cool. To get a basically a soundboard kind of recording of that would be amazing.
I think eventually they'll have some kind of Swamp Family subscription things. We've all kind of heard rumblings and mumblings and getting things together eventually, slowly but surely. But it's cool that we get these fan recordings, and I definitely appreciate that. And certainly, what else about this set list? I Can't Make You Love Me and Show Me the Encore, a big finish with the horns and all that.
Yeah, but I mean, I want more. That's to me has become like I don't know. I just love that song. I love that groove, that beat on that. It's such a. It just seems like that's, a big staple. I think. I don't know how often it's played, but it seems like it's played a lot.
A lot, yeah, a lot this year.
I just love it. The whole thing now is: are you going to hear the Bex Bolero, or are you going to get the Soul Sacrifice? They've been working, that back in. So it's kind of, which way are they going to go at the end with that? And the drums, a great little drum interlude between I Want More and Bex Bolero was awesome last night. I thought that was great. And then, like you said, kind of featuring Gabe with Susan, in the first encore, the two of them. Of course, Susan's always given all the nod to Gabe and everything on the keys, and that was nice for him, obviously, in Nashville. And for me, I hadn't heard Show Me live in a while. So Mark came up front and sang with Susan, and then the horns, and obviously Elizabeth Kebby. And I'm a big fan of Justin Johnson. So, he's playing the trumpet. I'm not sure, where Ephraim is, or if he's, I don't know if he's coming back or not, but
hopefully.
Yep, hopefully. But I'm a big fan of Justin Johnson. He's tremendous as well. So, he's doing a great job, and it's kind of tough to, especially if you're, I don't know, quote, part-time or whatever, or subbing, whatever. But I think he's doing a great job, and love him on the horns. And, they moved the horns around, obviously, for Show Me. And it was just a great way to end a two-set incredible night. I might have been, I don't know if this was the first two-setter in, I guess, in a long time.
For the last leg, Margot Price opened pretty much every show. So I think it was, I know we bookended our summer with TTB. So we went and saw them in Seattle over Memorial Day weekend. My brother-in-law, my wife's brother, lives in Seattle. Then over Labor Day weekend, went up to New Hampshire and saw them. So bookended summer with TTB. But the Seattle shows were the two sets. And then Margot Price was opened in New Hampshire. But I think you're right, David. I think it's been a while since they've done evening.
You said you
with.
saw them in Seattle, Troy?
I did.
Where the fans were crazy at those shows, right? That was, or there was some like unruly people at those. I remember.
Not really by us. There, I think that I heard about that because I listened to the episodes with, and I forgot their names, the folks that were on,
right?
That were some trouble. But in the section we were in, we were fine.
Yeah, you get them at every show.
It wasn't me.
It wasn't me. It wasn't me.
Yeah, I wasn't unruly. I was excited and met a really cool guy from Great Britain, and we bonded over the John Mayall's Blues Breakers with Eric Clapton album that came up, and he was talking about how he heard that. He was walking the streets of London or wherever he was from and heard that playing in a record store when it first came out, and went in, and like that was, kind of this life-changing album for him. But anyway, yeah, those Seattle shows were pretty good.
Yeah, as are all these damn shows. What's up, Zach in the chat there? Howdy, guys. And then we got Brandon here. Hey, guys, I'm a little late. Were you at Nashville? You want to come on and talk about Nashville? Let me see if I can get him if he wants to say a couple of words.
Yeah, you're a lot late.
Well, I thought he was at going to the at Bourbon and Beyond only. Maybe I misunderstood, or
oh yeah, or maybe he's early for tomorrow night's show.
Yeah, are you early for tomorrow night? Anyway, yeah, this looks like an amazing.
I don't know if you have a picture
of
the
set list
poster. Yeah.
Is that what you're going to ask for? The poster? No.
I was looking for a picture of Derek because I wanted to share a story that I just. Ann and I were on vacation earlier this month and chatted with a tremendous TTB fan from across the pond. He lives outside of Florence, or as he says, Firenze, Italy. My buddy Mauro, and he shared a story with Ann and I that his wife makes guitar straps, and last time, I guess the band was in Europe, his wife presented Derek a guitar strap. And my understanding is that's the one that Derek uses all the time now. So it was handmade for him by a huge fan over in Italy. And I thought that was pretty cool. I don't know if you have any kind of recent shot of Derek, playing, but
there's pictures from I didn't grab any of the pictures yet from Bourbon and Beyond because I think all the
but again, his wife actually made the guitar strap that apparently Derek is using, all the way from it's Italian made, so I thought that was pretty cool.
Yeah, I think Brandon's trying to log in here, but I think it's his video. I don't see his video, but I think maybe we wrap it up and I can talk to him a little bit about the Nashville show tomorrow. Anything else you guys want to mention or cover or discuss about the weekend, Kofi or Nashville or anything?
I wanted to tell kind of a funny story because I've been to all these Ryman shows, and my wife's looking at me. She knows what I'm going to tell. So there was one year we went, and and my daughter, I actually have 4 kids, but one of my daughters is actually about as big of a TTB fan as I am. And so I can't remember what happened, but we were going for 2 nights, and I only had 2 tickets per night. And so the first night I went with my daughter, and then I went with my wife the next night to kind of rotate. I of course was going to go both nights, but my wife, I mentioned, is not the biggest TTB fan in the world. She is, however, the biggest Judds fan in the world, a huge Judds fan. And so that first night at the Ryman, Wynonna Judd actually got in. I don't know if you were at that show, David, and that was because I think Derek and Susan played on an album that she'd released back in like 2017 or something. And that was they always have guests at the Ryman, almost always have guests, but no, that was a big name. That was a shock when Wynonna walked out there. And so I texted my wife, and like, Winona just came out, and she thought I was kidding. She's like, "Are you shitting me?" And then I took a picture of Winona out there with them, and she was so mad that she missed seeing Winona out there. And then the next night when she came, the whole night all she cared about was when Winona was coming out, but Winona did not make an appearance. So I always thought that was a pretty funny story from the my Ryman shows.
We were there, Troy. We were there that night. Yeah, she came out, and the thing was really cool. And because was not expecting her as a guest. Yeah. But I recall what she said was, not that she needed to convince the 2,400 people there at the Ryman, but she's like people. She goes, "This is real music for real people."
What song I remember watching video of this performance. What songs did they sing? Do you remember?
So she came out and sang. She came out for "Bound for Glory," and then they did the Sly and the Family Stone medley for the encore, and she sang for that too. She might have, and they might have done "Rollin' and Tumblin'." She might have sang "Rollin' and Tumblin' with them. I'm not 100% sure on that, but I'm 100% sure it was "Bound for Glory" and the Sly and the Family Stone medley.
Yeah, she did "Bound for Glory." It was so cool. She had the lyrics, in front of her and everything. It was great. I mean, it was. Yeah, that was a real treat, Troy. Yeah, that was awesome.
Yeah, that's the Ryman shows. I mean, I guess we could do another episode on a moratorium for those if they really are never playing there again. I don't know, but
I'm sure they will.
Like, I hope so. I hope so. But you just never knew who was coming out. And I saw. The first one that I ever saw there was Jack Pearson came out, former Allman Brothers guitarist, and played "In Memory of Elizabeth Reed." That's the first time.
That's on YouTube. I watched that fairly.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. I the first time I'd seen TTB play that. And that's when I decided, if these guys are ever within driving distance, I'm going. Like, this show was so amazing. I've never seen anything like it. And that was the show that kind of cemented, all right, these guys are for real. And I've never kind of looked back, but that was just amazing. Having two former Allman Brothers guitarists rip through "In Memory of Elizabeth Reed" on the Ryman stage. It was great.
Cool.
A lot of great memories in that church.
Yeah, they got to play there again.
Yeah,
I got to get there.
Hopefully, we'll make some more there down the road.
Definitely. Well, thank you guys. I appreciate the recap and your service too, of course. I'm sure Renee is collecting all the photos, and not only photos but all the statistics. And TTB's been pretty on top of that with their newsletter. We played "Keep on Growing" 700 times in the last 2 years. We covered 6,700 miles, and so they'll tell us. I think we'll find out one way or another. 77,000 boxes, or whatever it is. We'll get some numbers.
Yeah. Well,
cool. Good stuff, guys.
Thanks so much, Adam. Troy, again, great to meet you, and hopefully we'll see you again at a show soon.
Yeah, I will definitely look for you, David, and thanks for having me on, Adam. It's
thank you for all the support. I appreciate it. Talk soon, guys.
Thank you.
Later. Peace. So there you go. Episode was at 172, recapping TTB in Nashville, Ascend Amphitheater, and Kofi days of service, Saturday and Sunday this weekend. Happy birthday, Kofi. Thank you, Renee Pfeffer, for all your service to organizing this amazing weekend with everyone helping out in whatever way they can, doing such great work. But I hope everyone's doing okay out there. Please follow the show on Instagram at Tedeschi Trucks Podcast. Subscribe on whatever platform you listen to podcasts on. Subscribe on YouTube. Patreon.com/TTB Podcast. I appreciate the support. Keep the lights on for sure. It's getting dark in here, actually, literally on the West Coast here. The sun is setting earlier these days. That's wrong. That's bad. That's not my idea or plan. Tedeschi Trucks Podcast.com. That'll send you to a link tree for everything related to the show. AdamChoit.com for everything else I'm working on. TedeschiTrucksBand.com for everything related to the band and their official website. Buy tickets to shows, buy merch, join the Swamp Family fan club. I'll get an audio version out of this episode either later tonight, tomorrow, probably soon. Either way, recapping Bourbon and Beyond, Louisville tomorrow. What am I doing that? 9 Eastern. So that should be fun. Got some guests coming on to talk that one. I think we'll get Brandon technically all set up, Brandon Renfro, for that one. But thank you to the band, the fans, podcast supporters, guests, supporters on Patreon, everybody. Thank you so much. But I think that's about all I got for today. Thank you again for listening and watching, and let's talk soon. Peace.